Good morning, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mark's Mornings. Today, we're going to be continuing on the message, Stepping Out of the Boat. So I hope you guys are ready, and we'll check you in a minute. So, as we look into the scripture, it says, About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on water, they were terrified. In fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." You know, in life, we tend to look a lot at what is going on around us as opposed to Jesus himself. Our security, our hope is in him. You know, courage is moving forward or believing and hoping despite being afraid. And there's many situations in the Bible where God tells us to take courage. He knows that we're human. He knows that things are going to happen in our life, and he knows that we are naturally going to be afraid. So he says to us as a reminder, I am here. I am stronger. I am bigger than what's going on around you. Just trust in me and take courage. In order to move forward in life, we have to go through trials. For the disciples, it was on the Sea of Galilee, crossing over. And with the waves and the wind, they needed to know that God was with them in the midst of this situation. And because of that, they were stronger for the next trials that were coming ahead. Let's go back further into 1 Samuel chapter 17. We have David and Goliath. David had already, and this is one of my favorite stories because David was not afraid of Goliath. He had already been through the trials in his life that prepared him for Goliath. And before he even stood in front of Goliath, this overbearing man, he said, I have already fought the lion and I've already fought the bear to protect my father's sheep. This man is nothing. Because if God was with me then, he's going to be with me now. You have to see what God was showing him beyond Goliath. It wasn't Goliath. It was the wars to come forward that God was bringing to his perspective. Look to me. Look to me. Because God is preparing you for the next phase of your life. And if you are stuck looking at the winds and the waves, or you're stuck looking at the Goliaths in front of you, you're going to miss what God is teaching you right now. In my personal life, what God has been really teaching me through this scenario is trusting him and spending time with my family and being here and being with you guys. This has been very good for me this time, even though it is easy for me to look at all the bad things that are happening. The fact of not being at work, the fact of having to apply for unemployment, the fact of, us having to save and pinch and make sure that we're spending our money correctly, which is great because those are good things anyway. However, I personally, and like many of you, need to be remembered that God is bigger and he's preparing you for the next fight to come. So take courage today. Know that God is with you and be like David and get ready to step out the boat. Because when you step out of the boat, God is going to remind you, don't worry about the trials right now, because I'm prepping you for something that's going to try to come. And with the boldness God gave David to stand and say, who is this uncircumcised Philistine who threatens the men of God? You will stand in boldness before the Lord and say to that Goliath in your life, to say to the winds and the waves, who are you to stand before the son or daughter of God that the Lord has anointed? Jesus is with me. So take courage today. I want you guys, and I want to encourage you, go back into the last video. If you haven't watched part 1 of Stepping Out of the Boat, go back and rewatch it. And then come back to this one, and it's going to give you a little bit more insight to what we're going into. And so on Friday and on Monday of next week, this coming Friday and on Monday are going to be the part 3 and part 4 of Step Out of the Boat. So take care of yourselves, guys. Please know that you are loved here at Mark's Mornings, and we'll talk to you later.